Your team is all about systems. How hard was it to get your team members to buy into that? And did it start that way, or was it a general rollout of new systems and platforms?
We had systems before we even really had the team.
It was. We built systems for another person, another kind of group, and got to use that. So that gave us a head start. But I think I always joke is that systems are a coping mechanism for my horrible memory, right? So I have the worst memory. And so for me, it was just like, how do we make sure that things happen consistently all the time? And it was part of the buy referral. They call them touch points, right? So you know, through the process, there'd be, I talk about this in the E-Myth, how there's the matchstick and the newspaper, and how small things at the right time can make a big difference to a client's experience. And I've seen it kind of like that Disney, probably not at their level, but it's like at each step in the process. So if you deconstruct the whole buying and selling process, there's things that they need. So like things that we do is like we send fragile stickers at the exact time that they're moving. If we sent them on day one, they wouldn't mean as much, where it's like they're kind of showing up at the right time. You know, 2 weeks after they move in, we send them movie tickets, and we just say, look, take a night off. You've been busy, a lot going on. Have a night just to yourselves. And things like that. They don't have to be expensive. They just have to be meaningful for the right stage that they're at. You know, another thing we do is we send a list of our favorite contractors, you know, like a week before they move in, right? Because that's the time, or maybe it might be 2 weeks before, but the point is it's like it lands when it should. So the timing is as important as the actual touch point. But systems, like, it's just, when you grow a business, the systems are the consistency, and there's nothing worse than going to a restaurant, the food's good one time and then it's not good the other time, right? So the buy-in happened, I guess, for the team. They love it because the whole idea with agents is they're only expected to sell real estate, right? Like I
just love showing homes.
Even just things really like good. A thank you card. I mean, it's just something where it's like, if you start from the assumption that agents are somewhat unreliable, and I would consider myself an agent, inconsistent, you start building the structure to say, okay, can the admin write the thank you card for them? And so you try and offload as much from the agents as you can so that they can live their best life within the business. They can do more transactions, they can do more of what they love, which is showing homes, writing offers. I haven't found many agents that really love the lead conversion part of it, but it's the backbone of a successful...
I think for what I've noticed is that a lot of the reasons why people come to us is because of our systems. So it's almost like the buy-in is there before they even, you know, have the interview.
So one that I'm interested, so like I want to do this with someone in real estate. Maybe you guys would actually be a good one to do it with. So when I used to consult with a tech company, they were looking, and they had this exercise that I would love to bring to like do with the real estate agent to really kind of get that service down. And the first step of it was more just to point it, but it was like they'd go to like 10 people in the room and be like, on each post-it note here, every post-it note is one step. So write down the steps to making a piece of toast. And it's interesting to watch what everyone comes out of it, because some people are like, okay, you get a bag of bread, you take out a piece of bread, you get out the butter, you open the butter, you spread butter on the toast, you put the toast in the toaster, and then like it finishes that way. And then you get other people who are like, so you plant the seeds in the dirt.
Oh, wow.
And then you water it, and then you wait, and then you harvest the wheat, and they go that far back.
Wow.
But when you get like 10 people doing that, and then you go, okay, now how do you buy a home? And then you get everyone to like do that exercise after the wheat one, because now you have the idea of like how far back do I go into this, and then you let them get that out, and then you look at the board and be like, okay, now at every moment along this timeline we've now created, how do we improve that experience? I feel like it'd be like a really valuable, but like get 10 consumers to do throw the things up on the wall, and then with agents go in and be like, okay, how can we improve each of those pieces? It'd be a really interesting exercise to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've mapped out, there's different stages. We've got different plans that happen in the CRM.
Yeah.
I remember somebody at the Blue Mountain Conference, because that was our panel. It was Shannon Smith from Kathleen Black, and it was Chris Kelleher from Collingwood. One of the people asked a question at the end. They said, well, almost like, do the systems depersonalize the business? And that's not the case at all, because it's like you still have human interaction, right? But the systems are just the consistency, and that they know who to call about utilities every time, right? It's those kind of things that, and it's kind of like what we talked about before. There's the informational stuff, like there's information people need, but then there's also relational, and we send a letter out with the fragile stickers that talks about how a lot of times we're in such a rush to get through life that we forget to enjoy the process. So moving may seem like a bit of a burden, but remember to try and enjoy the process. Like, so there's relational things in there. A genuine thank you letter in the beginning to say thank you for choosing us, those kind of things. So if you balance off the informational, relational, you're going to have a good experience, right?
If you think about like the perfect client experience, you want to get 2 phone calls. One is to thank you for how amazing it was, and 2 is to give you a referral. And systems are the things in between that help make that happen. You don't want them calling you.
Yeah, if they called and said, who do I call about the electrical bill? It's like you failed on some level, right? Like if somebody calls you and says, what's the feedback about that showing? It's like your business, if you think about it, has really failed on some level. I mean, it's, all of us are going to have that. So I mean, do we have that? Of course, right? But in its purest form, you want to have
I don't
see
beer coming up. I just see more and more head.
That's okay. But it's really about that. It's like what I say to clients sometimes when I meet with them is like, surprises are great for birthday parties, not for real estate transactions. And even to do things, this is one of the ones we got from By Referral Only, is to come up with a list of all the things that could go wrong. And liken that to turbulence in an airplane, right? So it's like there's 80 kinds of turbulence that can happen, and here it is, right? Before we start, just know that it's there. And then when it happens, because here's the thing, if you set the standard that, everything's going to go smooth and perfect, anytime something goes wrong, it's a disappointment. But if you under-promise and then over-deliver, it's like if you say, this is all the things that might happen, and then nothing happens, automatically their experience is elevated, right? Well, you got lucky, right? But so some of it is how we calibrate expectations is a big thing in our business. But and part of it with systems is that you don't tell them everything. It's a balance, because you want to tell them enough so they feel the value that they want to work with you, but also not giving all of it away, because those surprise and delight moments are really exciting. When they get something that they just weren't expecting, that most agents would never do. It's great.
And do you find that, how long did it take you to come up with the different pieces, and are you still looking at adding more into it, or are you like, we're pretty happy with the system we have now to keep clients happy?
One of the ones that I got a question from a client, and she said, where's my mailbox? And I emailed Kelly. I said, why don't we put that in the plan? So 1 week before closing, we emailed the listing agent and asked them where the mailbox is. Because more and more, it's not door-to-door delivery. It's
there's a super box.
Right. But it's like, but that's it. It's one decision by me, and then it's like, okay, Kelly's going to put that in the plan, and she's going to take care of all that stuff. The end result, because what's going to happen, they're going to move in, and most agents really, after the firm sale, some of them are just,
they're gone.
They're gone.
It's that part between firm sale and closing, and a little bit after closing, is a real weakness for a lot of people, and we could even get better too. But that's a huge opportunity, because that's when their life sucks, right? And I had Glenn McQueenie say this one time. He said, anything you do after closing is like double bonus air miles. It's like you because from the client's perspective, you got what you wanted, which was a check.
Yeah.
And so if you show up, a week or two after closing, then there's a different level that the relationship reaches, because they're like, he cares, right? I'm not just a transaction of this person, that he really does care about me. So
I had a good one like that. So actually, it was one of the first clients that I'd ever gotten on my own, because I had a few referrals from other agents in my office, things like that. And we had this client, and him and his wife, actually I don't think they were married, doesn't matter. So they bought a house, and I referred them the home inspector.
Right.
Except the home inspector's report was purely digital.
Yep.
And they just made an offhand comment about nothing against you. If we had known it was digital, we wouldn't have hired him.
Okay.
We wanted a paper report.
Okay.
So when he sent me that message, I just went to Staples, printed out the report, threw it in a binder, and brought it over.
Right.
And it was that was the moment where he flipped from this is a guy working for me to he was now just my friend.
Yeah.
Right.
And referrals, and he ended up calling my broker to rave about me and do all this stuff, and it was just but that little simple thing of just printing out a piece of paper and putting it in a binder was all it took.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we do too is we have agent mastermind once a week. And that's the opportunity for the agents to talk about whatever's happening in the field. So if we see something consistently happening, that there's a gap, then that's an opportunity, right? Because it's not just about Chuck and I mandating, okay, we're doing this now, or what have. It's collaborative. It's all their business.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they'll say, I'm gonna go, profile this or promote this listing kind of thing. So what do we do? And then we come up with a tool there that they can use for the next one.